you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. This video is very different. If you know me, I told you in the beginning of the year I would be pouring into myself and just making time for me and doing things that are making me happy. So this year I picked up a really good habit of reading, and I wanted to go through my must-have reads that I read this year, and I want to rate them with you. So if you are a book girly such as myself, then please keep watching this video because I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. First, we're going to start off with the book that I picked up and what started my reading journey, which is I See I Was Right by Kayla Wilkie. If you don't know, this is the book that was written by one of the bad girls. Her name is Winter, and she just kind of wrote her life story. There's two of these. I only got the first one. I did not order the second one. I will order the second one maybe this month so that I can read, but this was the original book that she wrote, and when I tell you, it was actually really good. I was pleasantly surprised. I look at her in a totally different light because I now know what she's went through. So yeah, it was good to see her perspective in certain things, and it made me want to read her second story and see what else she went through. But yeah, I really like this book. I definitely give this a 4 out of 5, only because I'm not really into autobiographies, but yeah, this was good. The next book that I actually ended up picking up was Then She Was Gone. This was a novel from Lisa Jewell. This book was so good. I literally read it and devoured this book within 3 days of reading, and this is definitely like a go-to read. Trust me when I say it was quick, it was easy, but it was so good, so interesting. So definitely give this a 4.5 out of 5. So I would definitely try one of these books. The next one I actually ended up picking up was this one. This one's called The Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. I hope I'm not saying that wrong, but also another easy read. I actually finished this book also within like 3 days. I actually purchased these two together, and in a week span I finished 2 books, but it was super duper good. I love this book as well. I give this one a 4 because, you know, it didn't pique my interest until like after a certain point. I felt like it did drag a little bit, but it was super good as well. And if you like mystery books, this is definitely one to get. Then I ended up falling down the rabbit hole of Colleen Hoover. As you can see her beautiful face right here. When I tell you, I was obsessed with all her books. Literally, the way she writes is just perfect. Okay, so this one, as you know, started with it's now a Netflix movie. You can watch this on Netflix if you are not interested in reading it, but a lot of the details are missing, so I'm just saying reading it is a lot better. You will understand the story a lot more. But It Ends With Us is basically about a girl who ends up meeting this perfect guy, and this perfect guy ends up being abusive, and things take a quick turn. She finds her old love boyfriend that she fell in love with, and I can't go more into details without spoiling the book, but I'm telling you, this is like, it was so good. Especially if you relate to DV, this is definitely a book to read. It basically tells you that you still have a chance. You don't have to stay with that person, and I could not put this book down. The movie did not do it justice, but it was a good movie as well. So if you don't want to read this, go look on Netflix. Ends With Us is on there as well. I'm about to give you a rating on this one. This one I give 4.5 out of 5. This was so good. Okay, next I had to know what was up with the second book. I needed to finish the story. Okay, if you know me, you know when I start something I have to finish it, and this is the second one. This one, it starts with us. So basically in the first book, Remember, I told you she ends up running into her first love from high school. This is that story. This is their story. So I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 because it wasn't as interesting as the first one, but it was still very good. I ended up picking up Reminders of Him. This was a whole different take on a whole different person. This one, I'm telling you, was so good, but I didn't like the way it ends. I'm just gonna give you a little gist of it. Basically, it's about a girl who ends up having something really bad happen to her. She ends up going to jail, and her fight for her son is super duper important, and she's trying to get her life back, but things are getting thrown her way. I give this a 3 out of 5. It was a good read. I did finish the book within like 4 or 5 days, but I felt like it dragged a little bit. Still a good read. The next one that I indulged in so bad was Ugly Love. This one was good. I really liked this one. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Honestly, I don't remember exactly what this book was about. I just know that, so this is about a girl and a guy who tries that no strings attached type of relationship, and things just go completely left. But a 4 out of 5, not bad. I read this in a couple days. Super good as well. The next one was Confess. I have like dust all over these because I've had these for so long. The next one was Confess. This one was good. It's about a girl who's trying to get her life together, and she stumbles upon this artist, and they end up getting in some type of romantic relationship, and things take a turn. I don't know. I would read this if you're interested in something like this. I don't know. It was okay. I gave it a 3. It wasn't too like twisty, and I really don't like reading books that I kind of guess what happened, and this was that. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. Still a good read. I did read the whole entire thing within 3 days because I just wanted to get it over with, but still a good read. The next one, girl, when I tell you, this is my favorite book out of Colleen Hoover collection completely. Verity, and then I got the extended version because I needed to know every single detail about it. Worth every buy. This was my first book. I gave 5 out of 5. I love this book. I indulged in this book. Basically, it's about a girl who is a writer. She ends up running into this guy, and he needs a caretaker for his wife. She is an author, and the way she writes is like villain type of books. And he interviews this girl, makes sure that she understands the concept, and creepy things happen from there. And when I tell you, I couldn't put this book down. I read this in 2 days. 2 days, and I wish I never read it so I could reread it again. So definitely pick this book up. Oh my god, it was so good. Then I ended up moving on to this author called A.R. Torrey. I love the way this author writes. When I tell you, these books were so good, I devoured them as well, and I gave them a 4.5. This was super good. It's basically about a couple that I can't go into full details, but because without spoiling it, but it's basically about a couple. They live next door to another couple, and one of the girls want to be the other girl so bad. Like she just read it. Just read it. It's so good. And then this one is At the Last Party. Again, kind of almost the same theme, but it was really good. I gave this a 4 as well. So these two are definitely 4s for me. Then I found out about the author Frida McFadden. When I tell you, I indulged in all her books as well. Babe. So the first one is the infamous #1 seller in New York Times, The Housemaid. This is about a girl. I actually have notes in this one because this is when I joined my book club. This was a book that they wanted to read, and I read this in 2 days. 2 days. And then I read this one in another 2 days. So let me get to it. It's about a girl who is out of jail for doing a crime, and she ends up being a housemaid because she needed to make money. She works for the rich, and she is by no means any rich, they need a live-in housemaid, and she basically works for a mother, her daughter, and her rich husband, and creepy things start happening. She starts noticing certain things, and things take a wild turn from there. This one, The Housemaid's Secret. Again, this was another one of my book clubs that I read in 2 days. This one right here, I gave it a 5. This one was so good. This one was a 4.5. Basically, this is about the same girl. She ends up moving on to another client, and again, a wife and a husband, and crazy things start happening, and she takes matters into her own hands. So yeah, this one was such a good read. And then this one, and basically The Housemaid's Wedding. She ends up getting married because she meets someone that she really likes, and they don't really go into details in any of the books of how she got married. So this is basically like a little small read of how she got married and what her life is like. And then the last one, The Housemaid is Watching. I read this one. This one I gave a 2 because I really didn't need to know half of this, but it was good to know like how she got married and why she's where she's at. And then this one, The Housemaid is Watching, is the last one she came out with. And this one is basically about the same maid, now no longer a maid. She's actually a social worker, and she has her family, and she moves into a cul-de-sac, which is like a dead end, and there's a couple across the street, and things just don't seem right, so she takes things into her own hands. And yeah, this was a really good read as well. That one a 4.5. Then moving on to H.D. Carlton. When I tell you, this person, these are like dark novels. This has trigger warnings because these are like very dark, graphic novels. If these are not your cup of tea, I understand, but they talk about, you know, SA situations. They talk about what type of sexual preferences people have, dominatrix type of vibes. They talk about sex trafficking and so much more, but these are so good. The first one that I ended up reading was Haunting Adeline. It's about a girl who ends up getting the estate of her grandmother's. It's like a very old house. She thinks that her grandmother, who passed away, is still haunting the house, and while the house is haunting her, someone else is haunting her, creeping through the shadows, and it's very freaking disturbing. Very disturbing. This one, Hunting Adeline. The same girl ends up going missing because of this person that was hunting her, and he's like a really bad guy, and they see that this guy has interest in this girl, so they kidnap her and so forth. It's a crazy read when I tell you, like, they do crazy things to her. Crazy. The craziest things to her. And then this one is Where's Molly? While she is kidnapped, she ends up going into the sex traffic situation, and she's in this house, and she finds this diary, and it's about a girl named Molly. And basically Molly writes about her day-to-day at this place that she's also in, and Adeline kind of wants to know where she's at, how she's doing, and so forth. So this is actually about Molly, and then Adeline comes in towards the end of this book. But yeah, super good as well. All of these are 5 stars because they were so good. These are my latest reads, and the first one is from Christian Hannah. This is called The Nightingale. This is a really big book. I read it in a week. Now, the reason why I read it in a week was because it was a different type of read for me. When I say that this book literally had me on my toes, wondering like about certain things in life, like, yeah. So basically this book is about 2 sisters, and this is taking place during the World War II. So if you like history, this is really good for you. And basically they tell you their story within the World War II around the Nazi time area. This is based in France. So yeah, super good. I really liked it. Two different women, two different situations, but they are sisters, and it's a really sad read, but it's such a good read and it's so educational. So I gave this a 4.5. This is the last book that I just read. I actually finished this last week, and it's by the same author, Kristen Hanna, but this one's called The Woman. Again, it's a very thick read because it's a novel, and again, it's about history as well. So basically it's about a woman who ends up following and enlisting into the army because her younger brother was enlisted into the war. This is the Vietnam War. This is around when JF Kennedy was assassinated, and yeah, it literally around that time women were not allowed to be in the war. So she ends up being a nurse in Vietnam, and this one's so good for people that are going through grief, how to get out of grief. She loses a ton of people. She sees people and she gets her heart broken a million times because she's at war, and when she comes home things are definitely not the same, and it just explains her story and how she gets through grief. This one I almost cried to like 4 different times. This one's definitely a 5 out of 5 because it's so good. It actually gave me a whole different perspective on grief, especially the fact that around this time, actually tomorrow, I have lost my sister for 10 years now. So yeah, this was definitely a good book that I could read and just like engage in and just learn how to get over grief. I give this a 5 out of 5. Please read this if you're interested in the books of women in history. She wants to make history, and she definitely does, okay? My current read, this is the one that I just picked up yesterday. This is called The Devils and Miss Davenport. So this one I haven't read, but I will read you the back of it. So it says, the first day of autumn brought the fever, and with the fever comes the voices. Missouri, 1955. Loretta Davenport has led an isolated life as a young mother and a wife to Pete, an ambitious assistant professor at a Bible college. They're a picture perfect of domestic tranquility until a local girl is murdered and Loretta begins receiving messages from the beyond. Pete dismisses them as a delusional of fevered female imagination. Loretta knows they're real and frightening. Defying Pete's demands, Loretta finds and encourages the supporters in parapsychologist Dr. Curtin Henson. He sees a woman with a rare gift, more blessings than a curse. With Dr. Henson's help, Loretta's life opens up to an empowering new purpose. But for Pete, the God-fearing image he's worked so hard to cultivate is under threat. No longer in control of his doubtful wife, he sees the devil at work. As Loretta's powers grow stronger and the pleading spirits beckon, Pete is determined to deliver his wife from evil. To solve the mystery of the dead, Loretta must first save herself. So, yeah, I found that this was like quite interesting. I put this in my must reads around Halloween because I wanted to get like a spooky vibe, and I never really got to it because I ended up reading those 2 other books, but I'm definitely going to indulge in this and I can't wait to give you a review on this one. But yes guys, that is all my books that I read in 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching me. Hope you guys like this type of series. If you do, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and join the fam. It is totally free. I love you guys so much, and I will see you on next week's vlog. Bye.